thank you for joining us. You're in Greece, where we're seeing, news stories that the country reacted very quickly, has started to come out of lockdown. However, as a company, CCC, I know you don't really operate in Greece, although you have a headquarters there. So again, I think it would be good to get that kind of update of what you're seeing. But also, I know that you're looking at technologies such as sensors in helmets. So you're looking at how you could use these for site safety, how you can look at how you can use them for contact tracking. Could you give us some insight there, please?
Indeed, Rob. To be honest, we're very impressed with what the Greek government is doing here. It's clearly an outlier in Europe, even. When you see the numbers in Greece, you're talking about less than 20 a day compared to thousands in other places. So we're lucky enough to have a proper leadership in place to take early measures when it comes to Greece. When it comes to CCC, I wouldn't repeat the good ideas that came and the measures that were implemented, because many of what was said we're already implementing. Let me focus on the question that you asked me about the helmet and the sensors. Probably you're talking, Rob, about Wake Up. Partnering with Wake Up and many other startups, we have like 15 startups in our portfolio, like in Dubai, talking about Imensa Lab and manufacturing, and more than 10 in the region, has been at the heart of CCC strategy in order to bridge the gap between very traditional industry like the construction and emerging technologies and futuristic one. It's no wonder, Rob, that the construction industry is one of the least digitized compared to all other industries. The productivity norms of the construction industry hasn't improved in the last 50 years, unlike automotive manufacturing, etc. So we created this portfolio of CCC to partner with startups to bring that technology in place, pilot it on our project, support the domain level expertise to the pilot, to the startup, to bridge the gap of knowledge, and test it on large scale. When it comes to IoT workforce, which this falls under, and we're also experimenting other technology like bracelets, like facial recognition, etc. The objective was never related to COVID-19, because it started before COVID-19. It really started as first and foremost for safety, to improve the safety. We want to bring everybody back home safe. Of course, we use it as well to improve attendance, and we're trying to link it to our back-end project controls application to improve activity, etc. But you know very well, big data, the beauty of big data, you store data for one thing, you use it for another thing. So now we have the data, okay, on few sites, luckily. So the challenge now, and what I'm trying to you, how can you use this data for social distancing, for contact tracking, etc., in order to protect the livelihood of our employees, yet maintaining our operation and delivering what's expected from us to our clients as far as project and construction, but definitely, Rob, at a very high cost at our end. That's really the, yeah.
I mean, you're part of the European Union as well. So again, I don't know how much of your work is in the European Union, but are you having to think about the data protection laws there as well when you've got the data?
Very good question, Rob. We have affiliated companies in the European Union, but not SEC. Most of our operations are in the Gulf region and the Caspian region, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, etc. In Africa, North Africa. This is the traditional areas. We had project in Australia, in Queensland, etc. We don't operate as CCC construction in Europe. Nevertheless, the GDPR, very good. The question you raised applies to all European, even if they're outside Europe. So we have to, given that we have offices here, we have to implement GDPR. If you're European, Rob, and you're in Dubai, then whoever deals with you has to respect GDPR. So yes, we have taken all measures to protect the personal privacy of our labor and workforce when it comes to IoT. And that's a big challenge, believe me.
Aref, I mean, you're also looking at things a bit differently as well. And I know that you've been looking at things like repurposing shipping containers, creating plug-in intensive care. So could you tell us what you're looking at there, how you're planning to use it, and where you think that will go in future? What you're learning from.
Yeah, Rob, you're talking about what we call the Cura project. It basically falls at the heart of our corporate social responsibility and commitments to the communities where we operate. It more represents, CC is family owned, it more represents the family values. Besides what I talked about earlier, that our prime objective at the moment is to protect the livelihood of our workforce and run our project smoothly, also we have commitments toward the communities where we operate. So what we could do different? We thought of 3 different approaches. First, direct interfering and donation that we did for so many countries. Like in Greece, we donated many ICUs to the governments, from Kazakhstan to Jordan, Egypt, name it, Palestine, Lebanon, and many countries in the region. We donated more than 60,000 testing kits for Corona per country, and then we even ventilators to many countries we donated. So this was direct donation as part of our CSR philosophy. But we thought, what could we do different? And this is your question, Lutful. We're a contractor. We're part of we're partner of the World Economic Forum, so we have the access of the whole ecosystem, and this is where the Cura project came. And at the same time, we have past experience successfully build many hospitals, and we have the team who has the knowledge in constructing hospitals. But we thought it's not about constructing. You know, with the peak, Rob, now during the peak moves from one country to another. And the name of the game is how many ICU units as a government can be provided. So from each 100 people, as per the WHO organization, 20% needs hospitalization and 4.5% needs to be an ICU. So it's the capacity. We ask ourselves the question, and the Cura project was the answer. What can we build? Something mobile, fast to manufacture, easy to deploy, and scalable ICU unit. So the Cura project talks about converting shipping container, 40-inch shipping containers, 40-foot shipping containers into 2-bed ICU unit following open standards, and it's a non-profit organization, and of course adhering to the standards of COVID-19 ICU configuration. So we started working on that, and now our partner in Italy, and we're finishing one in the Gulf region. The first prototype in Italy and in the Gulf region will be hopefully finalized very soon. We're talking about hopefully end of May, we'll at least have one of them. And as soon as this is successful, we'll look at ways, how can we scale this up and support governments by relocating 100, if not 1,000 of these ICU units from one country to another, depending where the peak is. And that's the beauty of this approach. So also, given that we had this as being partner of the World Economic Forum, also we thought third dimension of our commitment. How can we do different on the world arena? Okay, so with the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and another 1,000 companies and leaders in the world, we have launched what's called COVID-19 Action Platform, and under the umbrella of the World Economic Forum, which basically talks about galvanizing global business communities for collective action. Although unless everybody's safe, nobody's safe, Rob, we see countries competing. We see a government, it's trying to utilize the crisis, unfortunately, in some places to be more popular. So what we're trying to do is to bridge the gap between public and private sector, and to promote collaboration and sharing knowledge. And had we not been part of this group, we wouldn't have learned about this open standard that is done by an MIT professor, the Cura project. So I wouldn't have been engaged with many other players to successfully do that. So this is basically, if I answered your question correctly, this is basically the objective behind the Cura project, and we're really looking forward to succeed here, because that would be a big impact and help we provide to governments in the region, in the Gulf region, should this succeed, and we're pretty much sure it will succeed.
We started by talking about the new norm as the current situation is. How do you envisage the new norm for the construction sector in the coming year or so as we start to emerge from this, in terms of technology scenario? So Aref and then Najib.
Yeah, well, Rob, we've been dreaming for quite some time of a digitized construction industry, which sounded more like a myth than reality. We worked, probably all the gentlemen here worked on 2050 vision, and I don't know which would have been realized maybe in 2500 rather than 2050. With COVID-19 now, I'm sure from the amazing idea we heard today, everybody has created kind of war room to tackle the crisis, to ensure they protect the livelihood of their staff, operate our project, local community commitment, etc. Nevertheless, what we did in CC is to create a parallel group with 22 experts and brilliant engineers to look post COVID-19 how what will be do, what difference will do. Besides, of course, remote working and many other things, traveling less, the obvious benefit of COVID-19, post-COVID-19, we are revisiting all the studies that were done earlier, and one of them we did with many leaders in the world, the 2050 vision for the construction and different scenarios, which folded into 3, which we think now it's at least it will be either realized by 2050 or even before. To be honest, before COVID-19, I thought it was a myth, which can be divided into 3. 1, building a virtual world, a construction run by virtual reality, AI, robotics, etc. Second, which might be both, not either or, more what we call factory runs the world, prefabrication, modularization, everything happens in a climate controlled area and protected. And then the role of a contractor is more assembly, like a puzzle. And third, I think, Rob, it's most important, we should not let COVID-19 make us forget it. COVID-19 is a very bad pandemic, but it's gonna kill humanity. What will kill humanity if we don't do a collective, collaborative action towards environment, if we forget our commitment to United Nations 17 global goal, especially sustainability. So more than ever with COVID-19 and post-COVID-19, we should look at technologies to reduce CO2 footprint in the construction sector, which we are, unfortunately, one of the highest contributors in the world to this sector. So sustainability and green and a greener world, what I like to close with today, Rob. Thank you. You know, it's the cost challenge is always a factor. But it's beyond cost. The challenge of implementing new technology goes to the risk of implementing that technology. So unless all stakeholders, starting with the developer or the owner of the infrastructure project, to the consultant, engineering, construction, unless everybody have a shared risk management methodology when it comes to implementing new technology, the construction sector will not be disrupted. So cost is one element. You can always find way around cost, but what you can't find way about the risk inherited by implementing a disruptive technology in construction, which should be shared by all stakeholders. I strongly believe that the biggest change is the message, the very strong change management message that was sent out there. For whoever resists change, it shows everyone that when we have to do things, we'll find a way. When we have to survive, we'll find a way to survive. I think this will be a start of a big, long change for the construction industry. This mindset shift, I think, is of the biggest value. By its own drives efficiency, and with a struggling economy like the industry like the construction one, with low margins of profit, BIM is a necessity. Plus, second reason from efficiency perspective. Second reason, in Dubai, for instance, above certain size of a project, BIM is a legal requirement, and in many other countries it is legal requirement. Third, and most importantly, if you're doing any digitization like 3D printing or whatever, BIM is a prerequisite. So so even before COVID-19, for large projects that we operate and many of the leaders here operate, I don't think BIM is a choice. BIM is a necessity.